Okay.
All right, Grasshoppers, we are back. And I have to remember from now on, he has to be called Coach from now on. Coach Mark Puttenvink. He has his business, Patriot Training Systems, trains everybody. Fantastic event this past weekend. I'm sure a lot of people saw stuff that I posted and you posted. And a big, I know you're humble, so you just let me do this, please, okay? Big kudos to you. Obviously, the SEALs and everybody that swims, it's a great cause and everything, but Mark does a ton of work. There's all these barges that have to be put together and ships arranged and boats for getting us back and forth. So you did a fantastic job. There's so many people. The first year, I guess we had like 30. Last year, there's 50. This year, it was close to 150. So a whole different set of problems and issues that you have to deal with. So great job by you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Tom. Means a lot.
Yes. It was fun, man. It was a tough swim too. We got there. It was funny. We got, it wasn't the young guys' fault. We got on these little boats, great guys, and they donate their time and everything, yes. Right? Those guys
and the barges, all those barges,
right? Yeah. So it's all donated, and Mark sets it up. So there's one young guy is taking us over to the first barge on this little boat, and we didn't know it at the time, but the power steering fluid was gone in his boat. So he's steering the boat all over the place, going all. And we're thinking, this guy, does he know what are we going to survive this or what? But he was a good kid. What was his name? Pat was his kid.
Pat Landy. Yeah, Pat Landy. The name of the company is Don John. They're out of Port Newark. They're rescue divers, which is a pretty tough job. One of the guys, Vinny, that I worked with last year, he's down in Louisiana. He's been down there for a few months because they had a tragedy down there, and so their job is to, there was 13 men lost. They've recovered only 7 or 8 of them. So he's still down there. Yeah. But anyhow, yeah. So it was a really monumental, epic day, as they all the previous 2 have been, and we assembled our team, which I think outstanding team of very eclectic, different individuals, but we all worked together as a team. And we got it done.
Yeah, definitely, that's good.
We can go right down that lineup.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, it's not supposed to be a race, right? But these are all alpha males and alpha females too. Yeah. So we didn't really, again, because there's so many numbers, so many people. Last year was easier. They all stayed on the barge. Well, everybody did their push-ups and pull-ups, counted off to make sure they had the right number of people there. This year was done differently. They had it was great, the electronics, so they had a wristband on, and they could scan the wristband, and we thought it made sense, just go, don't wait around. But the police didn't like that too much because they're like escorting one guy at a time. Because again, it's not supposed to be a race, but these guys, they want to win, right? It doesn't matter. There's no prize to it. They just want to be the first ones to get done. So we had a little problem going from the first bars to the second bars, but after that, everything was fine. So it's good. Good time.
It was a tremendous event. The leapfrogs. We were out on the water. We could see them coming in. So we were, I don't know, 3 or 4 leapfrogs that came in with a huge American flag parachuted into Liberty State Park, where the event began, and that was really impressive as well. But it was a great day.
That was to honor. Was a Teams guy that was died, unfortunately.
I want to say 4 to 5 years ago, they were leapfrogging in on Fleet Week, and this one of the SEALs had a malfunction and perished. So, even going back to the first swim when we did a practice, or what Bill calls a dial-in swim, I was on a state trooper Harbor Patrol boat with Bill and a couple SEALs, and they did the swim, and we kind of got a feel for the currents. But we always stop where the longitude and latitude where he perished, and we stop and we do 100 push-ups. So this is always one of the things that we make sure is part and parcel of everything. Every time we're out there on the Hudson, that we do that.
All right, so we got a couple of physical things. It was really nice, sweet young girl who was swimming. She got to the second barge there, it just started shivering uncontrollably. She was so cold, but really it was a warm day and everything. What's happening to her body when that happens?
Well, it's hypothermia, but even though the water on the surface may be warm, and it was a pretty warm day, you still do get some blasts periodically because of the current of very deeper water that's really, really cold. And she and I don't know what played into it, but she was pretty lean. So maybe she just didn't have enough body fat on her to keep her from going into that hypothermic state.
Right.
There may have been some dehydration issues. It's hard to say exactly what it was, but certainly that plays into it.
And she was fine later on too, right? We saw her later on.
Yeah, I saw her on the New York side. She was fine. She was up and running around, and she was fine. Yeah.
All right. So I'm not going to call myself old, but the experienced person that I am, I went to bed last night feeling fine. I woke up and my neck was just killing me. It's radiating up into my head and down my shoulder and all that kind of stuff. And I was putting heat on. So I want you to explain what's happened to me. So I've slept the wrong way. What's going on inside my body right now?
Well, fortunately for you, Tom, like you, I have abused my body for many, many years. I've had just about every injury you can imagine. And I experienced, going back a while ago, a very similar thing where I woke up, I had a stiff neck, I might have slept funny, and it got so bad the pain was radiating back through the back of my left subscapula into my arm and actually ran down into my pinky. So when I went to my orthopedic, he explained to me that my C5, C7 is compressed. And when it pinches in on that nerve trunk runs just that pathway through the back of my subscapula, down my arm, into my pinky. What happens is, in my case, when my C5, C7 vertebrae are compressed, if you think of your vertebrae as like a donut, a jelly-filled donut, when they compress, that synovial fluid or that jelly leaks out, and you don't regenerate it. So it's kind of like bone on bone. But what it does is it pinches that nerve, and then you get that inflammation. Where when I went to the doctor, I said it's my shoulder. He said no, it's your neck. So the best remedy for that, because when the nerve gets angry or it gets inflamed, is to just ice it. So what I would do today, Tom, is 2 or 3 or 4 times, put ice right on your neck for about 20 minutes or so, and you'll get immediate relief. And you want to do that for 48 hours. And then when you get that the swelling down, the inflammation, the angriness down, then you want to apply the ice so that the heat. You want to apply heat after 48 hours to get the blood flow going and to get some nutrients back in there.
So me putting the heat on this morning really was not too good an idea.
It's the worst thing you could do. Yeah. And I did the same thing.
It makes sense. So you think you got this, you feel like your muscles are all tightened up, so you want to relax them, right?
Yeah. And it's also very common with L4, L5 lumbar. And many, many people get that. That's where, they go, I hurt my back. I was lifting something. That's generally speaking, it's your L4, L5. And again, when I would have it happen from roofing when I was a kid or whatever it was, I'd go in the shower like put the heat on as hot as I can. And all I was doing is making that nerve even angrier. So it's the same process, protocol. You want to ice it down for 48 and then get the heat on it.
That's interesting because when I ruptured my spleen way back like 1985, same thing, they rushed the doctor in and nobody knew what was going on. It just nobody had ruptured spleen. But they were actually putting heat packs on my stomach too, which was making it worse, more blood flow. But it wasn't the trainer's fault. He just didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
the doctor came in. Yeah, that was the first thing the doctor asked. He says, you got pain in your shoulder. And I said, Doc, it's not my shoulder, it's my stomach. And it's the same thing. There's a nerve, I guess, that runs up through your stomach and into your left shoulder. It was like just get stabbed in the shoulder with it. But interesting how those kind of things happen.
I mean, in the fight game, we use something called cold press. So we have it almost looks like a little hockey puck, and it's got a handle on it, and it's metal. It's all metal, steel. Mm-hmm. And we keep it in the ice bucket. So when you come back to the corner and your eye's starting to puff up, we take that cold and we actually press. So we keep the swelling down on the
I face. Saw that on Rocky, I think. Didn't Rocky have that, or maybe it was?
They kind of Hollywooded it up a bit, but
maybe the Cinderella Man might have had it too. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, the old school way was just a bag of ice, but now they make this nice little. You keep it in a bucket. It's really cold, and you can actually apply pressure with it. Yeah.
It's funny you were standing right there. I know you heard this, but the one guy you brought over was from Hawaii. So he saw me with my scar down in the stomach, and he's kind of laughing. He said, "Yeah, we got the same scar." I said, "Yeah, I ruptured my spleen. When did you rupture yours?" He says, "I didn't. I got shot." And the way he said it too was like, "Nah, I got shot." They had to. What did he say? They had to rearrange some organs inside there or something like that. Yeah.
So that's Bill Branham. We're going to get him on the show. He's out of Hawaii. He's a team guy. He's got a supplement company called Naked Warrior, which is a lot of CBD stuff and.
You showed me
amino acids and stuff like that for veterans causes he sells, but and that's what's interesting about it. I think we get kind of lost on the event because Tom, you and I are coaches, we're athletes, we tend to look at this as an athletic event, an athletic endeavor, and we all stand back and go, oh man, these guys are such great swimmers, they're so jacked, they're in great shape. Even the older SEALs are still really. But sometimes we lose sight of the fact that. Beside being able to do this, these guys were warriors overseas and saw a lot of action. Some of them were wounded. In fact, I don't know if you want to talk about Turbo, but the man who's missing a leg.
Oh, yeah. Is that his name, Turbo? That's who they were talking about, Turbo. Yeah.
Turbo. So Turbo was, I don't want to do damage to the story because I don't know exactly. Bill Brown explained it to me, but apparently, I don't know if it was Extortion 17, which we were memorializing on Saturday as well. But he lost that leg trying to rescue somebody who had been shot, a fellow SEAL, and trying to get him back to either a chopper or a plane. Yeah.
So it's an amazing scene too. Like he's walking around with the shorts on, obviously, so you can see the prosthetic leg. But he's walking around, doing the swim, running around. It's like, I'm not going to sit around.
He didn't do the swim. He was going to do it. They kind of advised not to because I guess currents and stuff. It's really hard. Imagine swimming with one leg. I mean, because it's off. It's all the way off. But he did do the 2.5 mile flag run.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, quite a but that just shows you that what they're capable of doing.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's a mental thing too. Those guys just are not quitting. Like you talked about our friend Kenny Bigby Jr. You took him skating on Wednesday night. And
Thursday, he never skated before.
Never skated, and he just was not going to quit. Right, he was going to master it. Yeah,
he was determined. And then all of a sudden I heard, "Hey, coach, watch!" And he got a little going, and he did a nice little stop. And I was like, "Attaboy, Kenny, that's how we do it." Yeah. Did you get that video? I just sent it to you. You got to see that.
Oh, okay. Oh. He's a cool dude, man. I just admire him so much. He's got that personality where I introduce him to people, and he's just everybody honored to meet you. Look him in the eye. He's a total class act. Yeah, he's good.
Well, if you look at the video, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. No, but go ahead. I don't want to get that.
So one of our crew that Tom and I worked with was my guru, my martial arts instructor, my Filipino martial arts instructor, Royce Ramos. And Royce is a little guy, and he's not very imposing looking, but he can be a problem. And I sent Tom, when we got to New York, he and Kenny Bigby, who practices the same art as we do, in addition to all this other stuff, they did a little Sabayan, which is a kind of hand-free flow, like knife defense, everything. And I sent you the video. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay. I'll take a look at it. Yeah. And he's a tiny little guy, and he's just a sweet, quiet guy and everything, too. But you're telling me how tough he is. He's
pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine. We're getting a couple of questions here. You're talking about injuries here. Rod Jameson, again, thank you for your service, Ron, is a former Navy gentleman here. What's best remedy for tennis elbow? Some day pain, other days none. Again,
it's the days you feel the pain, I would ice it. If you can tolerate anti-inflammatories, over-the-counter anti-inflammatories. Those type of injuries are overuse injuries, which I've had many. I'm sure Tom has too. The best remedy, unfortunately, is rest will work, which means you're going to have some time off the court. But certainly the moment you feel that discomfort, you want to ice it immediately and take an anti-inflammatory if you can tolerate. If it gets to be significant and it doesn't get any better, I do know that they will. That's usually the ulnar nerve, which is what gets inflamed. There have been some athletes I know that had that nerve removed, but I don't think you want to go that route.
So that's the next. Same thing with me with the bad back or bad neck. So I thought I should go to the gym this morning to loosen it up. Apparently, that was not the best idea.
Probably just some headstands would help.
So Dr. Laidlaw so far has had a hot shower, heat pack, and worked out, and I should have been doing the exact opposite.
0 for 3.
It's a good thing I called you before the show. All right. And I do feel better now, too. I put the ice on it.
It's amazing. I mean, ice is, such a great help in many ways.
Yeah. All right. Tim White here. I have a pinched nerve compressed disc in my L5. What can I do to erase the pain? Erase the pain. Usually it happens the day after a game. I'm 56. You're a stud. That's why 56 years old, still playing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, it's the same protocol. You want to ice it down. And the thought is on any kind of cervical or lumbar, that pain you're feeling is that the nerve is inflamed. For instance, sciatica, which is a very common ailment. The sciatic nerve is generally speaking the size of your thumb. My hand in here. When it swells, it could get to be up to the size of your fist. So, I mean, that can occur. So ice is absolutely the first immediate response, and I would do it for 48 hours again. And then after 48 hours, when that nerve swelling's down and it's not so aggravated, then I would apply heat because you want to get the blood flow going so you get some nutrients in there. But the other thing about the L5 and the lower, really to kind of, most people those injuries occur because there's an imbalance between abdominal strength and low back strength. And that happened to me as well. So we have a thoracic cavity, which is in between the abdominal cavity and the low back. And there has to be equal strength. And if your abs are too strong, they're going to pull in on that spine. So you need to do some lower back work, either hyperextensions or dog pointers. If you go on the internet and you just put in lower back exercises that you can do at home on the floor and the carpet, there's a whole bunch of them. They're all very effective. And it's the problem with this, and I fall into it as well, it's not a very glamorous thing. Nobody ever comes up and says, wow, your lower lumbar looks awesome. It's like, it doesn't happen, but it's really important. And you really need to get on that, I would say, at least 3 times a week. Yeah.
Same thing with the core, right? Because I had a bad back when I retired, and I'm 63 now. I've played 30 years or whatever it is, and since I started doing all those core exercises, my back doesn't bother me at all. Well,
exactly.
Yeah, it's incredible.
100%.
It is.
Yeah. If you have a physio ball, there's a whole bunch you can do with that as well.
Right. I'm thinking back when I hurt my back. I went for therapy, and they were digging in from the front trying to get to my psoas. Is it psoas? Am I saying that? I thought they were saying sore ass, but it was psoas. Yeah.
That was a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned a while back when the guy from the Florida Panthers, I think his name was John Schneider, he did this. I pulled my groin, and he did ART, active release therapy, which, as I mentioned, the groin, he really worked on my gluteus minimus, but it hurts. I mean, they get in there really deep. Yeah, really deep.
This young girl was doing it too, and I felt like such a wish she was doing it. She was digging in there. I was like crying. She was like,
yeah. Right. Well, a couple of years ago, I trained for a long time, Chinese heavyweight, Zhilei. He won the bronze medal in the 2008 games in Beijing. Big man, like 250 some odd pounds, 6'5". So Beth, who's a marathoner, she does a lot of foam rolling, which I really need to start doing that much more. Yeah. But anyhow, so I said, hey, can you come to the gym with me tomorrow? And through my interpreter, Kirk, because Zhilei didn't speak English, I want you to put him through a session on the foam roller when we get done. He was crying like a little baby in pain. Especially when we're working on the hip flexor and things like that, because it's painful, man.
Oh, it is.
It's one of those things you need to do. You need to do it, and I really need to start getting out of it.
And that's why, like, even the good massages, that like an athletic massage, they hurt, right? When you're done there, man. It's
It's not supposed to be relaxing.
Yeah.
If it's really for sport.
Yeah. All right. Ron's our veteran here is being a smart aleck. I made vodka sauce yesterday. I don't think that counts as an anti-inflammatory. It does kill the pain a little bit. You put enough vodka in there, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I experimented yesterday. I've learned how to make my own almond milk now. With the food processor.
Yeah. How do you? Okay. Yeah.
So I just soak the almonds the longer you can soak them, right, to get them softer you can, and then just put them in the food processor with water. Then you got to strain it. It's a little bit of a pain, but there's no preservatives or anything in it. So I was going to make vodka sauce yesterday, and the recipe called for cream, but I wanted to try to get away from the cream, so I put the almond milk in there and some cheese too, as I called for. So it was good, but it didn't work as an anti-inflammatory.
Oh, wow, that's all right.
Yeah. What was I thinking? Talking about another injury too, or something like that. We got on the subject of injury. So just to be clear, so when somebody gets injured, like a bruise or like even like a disc like that, so the idea is the body now is having blood flow into that area to kind of protect it. Is that what's going on? Like, let's say with a bruise first.
Yeah. So that's why you'll get the discoloration, and that's pretty much what it is. There's different. So. It's called traumatic bursitis, and I'm going back. Do you remember Terry Karkner?
Yeah.
So we were doing a camp in New York, and I'm talking to Terry, and you know how you don't see a little guy take a digger behind you, and it's like he got slew foot, right? Because he comes flying in from behind, you don't see him coming. A kid took a digger, and I went down, and I just had sweats on, and it felt like it was damp, right? So I figured I maybe more. Well, I went in, but I had to get a couple stitches in my elbow, but it blew up like it was broken. And I was like, but it doesn't hurt, And what it is, when you get a traumatic bone injury like that, your body floods it with fluids to protect it. I mean, that thing blew up really big. So what they did, they just put an ACE bandage and compressed it and got the water out. But so when you get a contusion or impact injury, you're going to get inflammation, and it's either water. When it's blood in a joint, you want to really be concerned. So in other words, you hurt your knee and it blows up. And if you ever had your knee drained, it's probably one of the more unpleasant things.
Yeah.
And then they take it out and they go, "What's this?" And you go, "Oh, that's blood." Then it's a different protocol for rehab. May require surgery, but in general, yeah, that's what a bruise is. When you see black and blue, that's blood that's coming up to the surface.
So the blood's flowing in there for a few things, right? It's like to heal whatever's hurt inside your body, but also to try to stop your body from moving in that injured area, right? I mean, is that?
I don't know. Well, yeah. So the blood is to increase the nutrient intake, but in general, you're going to get fluid, just edema, just water, basically, because your body says, "Oh, we're injured. We got to protect it now."
Right. Gotcha. So the first 48 hours, ice all the time. Once the 48 hours is done, now you go back with the heat. Did you go back and forth, heat and ice, or?
I would do that when you're healthy. That's more of kind of like the hot cold shower kind of thing, just to keep that's more charge up your metabolism. But for sure, the ice is an amazing therapeutic agent. I mean, it's not going to get in your body, but it's going to work great.
Speaking of that too, what is these people are getting in the big ice tubs now, or not an ice tub, but what is that called? Cryogenics or something? What is that?
Cryogenics, yeah. Well, let's put it this way: there's really not a lot of evidence that it does much of anything more than just taking an ice bath.
Right.
Because like football teams in training camp, they'll have the big buckets. I mean, they're big dudes. They're the big ice buckets, and they just jump in there and they sit there. Because you create a lot of inflammation, especially when it's a contact sport like hockey or football or even basketball. So when you're training really hard, you want to go in that ice bath to bring down any inflammation. The cryogenics, it's a nice business, but I think it's kind of overkill.
All right, here's another. We got some veterans hanging around. So I love this. Barry Shelley, another veteran. Thank you for your service. What is your feeling on electrotherapy for back pain? Have had that done for years due to back problems. Never helped.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about a lot of these type of injuries, what works for me may not work for you.
Yeah.
But there are certain just basic protocols like the ice that will work for everybody across the board.
Right.
Especially
with the back, right? Especially with the back,
it seems like back or knee injuries or shoulder. Like a lot of electric stim seems to help. Again, it's depending on the injury, where it is, who it is. I had an extensive amount of electric stim done on my left knee when I had my ACL reconstructed, but that was in the dark ages. I mean, that was before arthroscopic surgery even.
What was the stuff they used to do? They give you the, they put a little gel on you, and then you had a little handle, almost like a little phone thing, and it like send shockwaves into your. What was that? Remember that?
That's another form of stim, electric stim. So there's research that, like, say if you break a bone, I don't know what the exact mechanism is behind it physiologically, but with electrical current into a bone, it'll heal the bone faster.
Oh, okay.
The bone heals faster, yeah. So there's that. But I think I mentioned this to you too, that in the third period, I used to go right before the game would end. I'd go in, I'd rush, I'd make 9 ice bags. If we won, if we lost, I made 12. Because guys hurt more when you lose. Yeah.
So that is true too. Yeah, isn't that true? Fight through the pain better.
But yeah, for just
what is it? Do you think people are born with the ability to fight through pain more than others, or is that something that you learn over time? You learn, okay, I'm not going to die here; it's just pain.
That's a great question. I studied some research a while back. I mean, a long time ago, that athletes in general have a much higher tolerance for pain than general population. And there's many contributing factors to that. Some of that is just mental toughness, and like you want to get back on the field. I don't want to lose my job. But also because I think we experience pain on a more frequent basis than general population. If you do a inventory of your body, and if I did one of mine, I would venture to say that very few people have been, that haven't participated in sport have that whole laundry list of different things.
I thought about that the other day when they do an autopsy on me.
They're gonna have fun. What the hell did this guy do?
That's right.
But it's funny you mention that, because Gareth, who you met Saturday, who's like your size, a big dude, and he's still fights competitively. About a month ago, he called me and said, "Mark, I'm coming to you because as a coach, he said, I might not make the swim. And I said, okay. He said, because there's a competition in Florida, a grappling competition that I should attend if it would qualify me for another competition. He said, but I'm kind of hemming and hawing because my biceps are a little achy. This is achy, that, and the other thing. I said, well, here's the thing, Gareth. If you wait to compete when you don't have a nagging injury, you'll never compete again.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And I said, as far as the swim, we'll have another one next year, but your time frame to compete in is limited. So don't miss an opportunity to compete.
Yeah. Thinks back, we were in LA and it hurt my back, and there's, other guys go for injuries. They had a therapy place we went to. It's for other people, but there's a lot of other athletes there. And I think certain times he just kept it for other athletes. There's a volleyball player in there. And there's 4 or 5 of us, and we're all being smart, Alex. They got the stim thing on to show the pads with the electrical stuff going on. I guess that's the electrotherapy. We're walking by and turning it up to all the way. The guys jumping and everything. And this volleyball player, we started picking on. We realized that he didn't like pain very much. So we really picked on a lot. I felt bad for the poor kid because we had him in tears sometimes. We just walk by and crank that sucker up.
Well, it's very difficult because, sometimes I'm sure you notice too, working with coaching, and in my other realm of boxing and self-defense, I may lose track of who I'm working with, and I might be demonstrating something and kind of give them a shot where you would be fine with it. Yeah. But we're somebody who's not used to, and look, it's not a matter of you're not tough. It's just that you don't do it a lot. So it's like, whoa, man, what was that? So yeah.
It's that we growing up on the farm, you have the electric fence, and we'd go by and everybody'd stand there and see how long can you keep your hand on the electric fence and stupid stuff. But you realize after a while that it's just pain, and it's not pleasant, but you're not going to die from it. The pain will stop, and you'll get over it. But
there's things. I mean, look, whether it's ice hockey or boxing or football, any kind of collision sport, I mean, you get just absolutely wallpapered, and A, you can't let the guy know that he hurt you, and B, so you got to stay on the ice or the court a little bit longer. And then you get to the bench, you go, wow, that stunk. That wasn't fun.
I remember I've told the story before too. My rookie year, we're playing in Boston, and Ray Bork was, hot young player then. I was killing a penalty, and as when you want to block a shot, it's easier to block the shot when you get closer to the guy, right? If you have to block your defenseman, you're blocking another defenseman's shot, and you're at the net. So he went to shoot, and I went down on the one knee, and that exposes that part. Your pants come up a little bit, and your shin pad comes down, and exposes like 2 or 3 inches. Well, of course, his shot hits me right there, And again, like that. Back then, we could not let the other guy see that he hurt us, right? Because once he saw that I was hurt, then he figured, okay, I'm going to shoot there again because he'll get out of the way because he doesn't want to get hurt again. So I get up, I turn my back to him, and the sweat's pouring off my face, and just like it was so bad, it was burning.
Oh yeah.
But when it hit my leg, it had bounced up and got into the stands. So face off again in our zone. Puck goes back to Ray Bork again. Almost the identical situation. I go down again. He hits me in the same spot. And I'm telling you that the pain was unbelievable. And he's looking at me, and he's looking like he's looking at me, and I'm thinking, I can't show him that I'm hurt, man. But it was burning bad. So he didn't do it again after that, though. He shot different because he knew I'd go down blocking. I didn't want to do it again, but whatever. Yeah, it was funny stuff.
Well, it's funny you mentioned about how you wanted to get closer to him. It's not quite closing the gap because that's more of a tactical move on your feet. Yeah. But it's similar but dissimilar. But it really. So when I teach self-defense, I said, if somebody's going to swing with you with a bat, most people are going to pull back.
Right.
Actually, you want to move in. You want to move in. You want to minimize his power production, and it's the same kind of thing.
And Kenny, I know you and I've talked about it too. Kenny Bigby and I, when we first met each other, did a show together. That's life too, right? You're going to be facing problems. There's going to be bad things come your way. You're going to make mistakes. Yeah. If you sit there and let the problem come at you and control the situation, then it's worse. Close the gap on it. If you've made a mistake, acknowledge that you made a mistake. Go fix the problem. If something bad is happening to you or something's coming to hurt you, a person, a situation, close the gap. Don't wait for it to come to you, right?
Absolutely, no question. If going back to Saturday, we had a couple situations. We won't get into great detail, but we handled it real quick. So we closed the gap on it, and we took care of it.
Yeah, totally.
And no one even knew the difference, right?
Yeah, isn't that true? Yeah. It's when especially if you make a mistake, little kids learn, like if you've got a little son or daughter, or whatever, whoever it is, they steal a chocolate bar from a grocery store. Well, you don't make the mistake bigger by now trying to make some excuse or not facing it. You bring the boy or girl back to the store. You hand the candy bar back to the owner of the store. Problem solved. I mean, the owner's still not going to be happy, but at least you can say, "I've got my candy bar back." You haven't made the problem bigger, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's a good life lesson.
Yeah. And that's you and I talk about it too. I know we feel the same way. That's the great thing about hockey. If you're coaching the game properly, we talk about it all the time. Hopefully you're making them a better player, but you're teaching them life lessons. Like the closing the gap's a great example. Herb Brooks, passes come from the heart. If you're going to do something, do it all out. Just don't do it halfway.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't know who said this, but I love this, whether it's hockey or whatever. Force them to make a great play. If they make a great play, there's not much you could do about it. I mean, the guy made a great play. Don't give up the easy one. Force them into a position to complete a pass or to score. They've got to make an absolutely incredible play.
Definitely. Well, again, great event this weekend. You did a fantastic job on it. Again, people, if you still want to donate, you can go to gigofund.org and donate anytime, 12 months of the year, or volunteer your time, whatever it is. They do a lot of great causes. I thought it was just to raise money for vets, but there's a lot of other stuff too, like career counseling and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so GI Go Fund does many things. The primary mission is to help homeless veterans. The secondary, and I won't say primary and secondary. So the missions are help get homeless veterans off the street. Part of their mission also is they have a job resource lab in their Gateway 1 building in Newark, where if I'm transitioning out of the military, let's say I'm an Air Force mechanic on a helicopter, I go to the job lab resource. They will source out a job or jobs to apply to that are with that skill set in mind. So they'll find me a job at an airport or wherever.
That's cool.
So yeah, they're a great group. They do a tremendous amount of work, and sometimes it gets lost in the sauce because we're doing our thing on the day of the swim, but we have to keep in mind we have the Coast Guard, Port Authority Police Department, New Jersey State Harbor Patrol, NYFD, NYPD. I'm probably forgetting somebody, but they all have to. So those are different jurisdictions, and sometimes they don't work so well together. Just not an ego thing, but maybe communications are difficult. Yeah. So there's a lot of pre-planning. And if you recall, when we were on the barge, that NYPD helicopter kept flying over. And if people do the math, there was a reason behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of, like the fire department, you see the boats out there too. A lot of different towns were involved.
A lot of security, incredible amount of security that has to be coordinated. We had State Harbor Patrol, New Jersey State Trooper Harbor Patrols on boat and also on jet skis. So,
yeah, that's cool. Good job. All right, well, we're doing it again next year. I'm assuming they'll do it again next year.
Oh,
what do you think? Will they have as many people, you think, or do you think they've kind of reached the limit?
I think it'll always be. I don't think it'll grow as exponentially as it did from the beginning to now, but I think we'll probably maintain the same numbers. There are the Navy SEAL community is a very big population, and they do a lot. They do a tremendous amount of swims and climbs. Bill was out in I think Mount McKinley with a bunch of SEALs a couple months ago. They did a climb to raise money. There's a frogman swim in Boston. There's one in Tampa. I think there's one in Louisiana. They're all over the place. But this is the big one. This is the big one. It's New York City, man.
And I got to tell everybody, I know we keep saying over and over, I know next year is a long way away, but if you get a chance to go there, at least go to Liberty State Park for the start of it. There's a lot more people there. I know there's a lot of family and everything too, but yeah, it was a great event. Really good,
and then cool. And then the flag run from where they get out of the water up to the 9/11 Memorial. There was some tremendous benediction almost, and then of course Bill Brown spoke. So when Bill Brown speaks, everybody's attention is focused. And we're ready to go out and do some damage.
He is a focused man. I'll tell you. He speaks with purpose.
I'll tell you. And what's funny about that, Tom, and it's almost like being in a room. I guess somebody just takes over, right?
Yeah.
Like the coaching staff doesn't really have to come in and say, "Hey, you're the guy."
Right.
The personalities will kind of dictate or kind of just morph into that. But so you could see when Bill spoke. I mean, we went out to get some food afterwards. There was a whole bunch of team guys in there, and I don't know who it was, but somebody came in and just said, "Okay, we're going," and everybody stood up and then went out. Yeah, and it was just the way.
And these are also pretty strong-willed, independent men that learn to work as a team, right?
I'll tell you one quick story before we go. The first year, I had arranged limousines. I know a guy. I'm from Jersey, so we all know a guy. So I know a guy in the limo business. I got them limos to the Wall Street where they rang the bell. I got them limos to Fox and Friends. And then after Fox and Friends, I said to Will, do you want them to take mass transit back? You know, they could hop on the light rail back to Jersey City. His response, no, keep them in the car, command and control. So, yeah, and that's the way it is. You know, and it's a good process.
Yeah, and Bill has no problem, and Bill doesn't do it in a mean way, but he's not. No. He doesn't worry about your feelings necessarily. He's not trying to be mean.
It's not about feelings.
Yeah.
He's not pulling rank. He's just this way it rolls.
Somebody's got to take charge, and he takes charge.
My show, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah. That's pretty. He's good. He's a good man. He's got a big heart too. Yeah. And it's funny, you know, he's that strong man, but you see him. He's got a son and a daughter, and he's just like any other dad. He loves his kids to death.
He's a family man. He loves his kids, and if you get on Instagram with him, you'll see like every weekend he's doing something with the kids. He's a great man.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everybody. Good to see you again, bud. We'll see you next week.
You got it.